Welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another very exciting episode of Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales 101. And yes, you did hear me correctly, is that even though we have recently received an avalanche of news regarding Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, we're now finally back of discussing the brand new Spider-Man game that's about to release with Miles Morales' story. However, today's news is a bit interesting considering the fact that it doesn't necessarily relate to flat-out gameplay of Miles Morales, but instead, we've actually been given a complete news bomb of Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales in the form of brand new published Titan books. Now, this news isn't all that surprising when you stop and think about it, considering the same exact thing happened for Marvel's Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 and even Marvel's Avengers, where in both cases, each game received a full-on prequel novel which dove into some very exciting aspects to expand the overall lore of each game's universe, as well as an extremely detailed art book, which did come fully equipped with showcases of all the characters in-game, alongside of specific concept designs of particular characters, levels, and even alternate suits. And considering the absolutely massive amount of hype that is surrounding Miles Morales at the moment, you would surely expect the same exact situation to occur for that game before its release. And lucky enough for us, there is a lot more to be featured within Miles' books than meets the eye. So to jump right into all the hype itself, this news is exclusively coming from IGN's website, where they do a complete rundown about the synopsis of the prequel novel, as well as the overall release dates and pricing of both the prequel novel and the art book. And as the article goes on to describe, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is set to hit the PS4 and PS5 in just a few weeks. But fans of Insomniac's take on Miles will have more opportunities to jump into the character's world via two newly announced books. IGN can exclusively reveal the titles and cover art for Titan Books' Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales Wings of Fury, the prequel novel tied to the game, as well as Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, the art of the game. So again, just like Spider-Man PS4's prequel novel of Hostile Takeover, Miles Morales is going to receive the exact same thing with its prequel novel titled Wings of Fury. And even though we've already seen this book's cover be used as concept art, it's still a very cool image to have on the cover of a book regardless. So to further analyze the prequel novel in particular, Wings of Fury will actually hit before the PS4/PS5 game is released, with the novel written by Slay author Brittany Morris being available from Titan on November 10th. The story focuses on Miles grappling with the responsibility of being Spider-Man as he deals with Vulture and Starling, setting experimental tech onto the streets of New York. And just so that you're fully aware, the prequel novel will cost $16 and is a total of 288 pages long. Now, if I remember correctly, I do believe that Hostile Takeover was a bit longer in terms of page length, only reaching above the 300 number count, but I still think that this is a great pricing for a full-on Miles Morales prequel novel to dive in before you play the game itself. And even though Hostile Takeover was written by a completely different author, the prequel novel as a whole was really well-rounded and further analyzed the overall world that Insomniac was building. And if you're someone who is beyond pumped to play this game like I am, I can guarantee you that reading the prequel novel is going to be a great way to pass the time. And even though IGN briefly touched upon it within that small sentence, this is actually what the complete synopsis of the prequel novel states, saying that with an exclusive adventure leading directly into the game itself, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales Wings of Fury features Miles Morales coming to terms with what it means to be Spider-Man. A mix-up with the law leaves Miles questioning everything, and when Vulture and his accomplice Starling unleash experimental tech on Marvel's New York, Miles must decide what kind of hero he wants to be. So even though that is the general summary of what we can expect the core plot of the prequel novel to be, I'm still curious as to whether or not the book itself might touch upon other aspects about the universe as a whole, such as the possibility of Miles coming to grips with utilizing his powers, maybe some whereabouts as to what exactly Peter Parker is up to, and other facets within the overall lore of Insomniac's world. Although I think we can all agree that the most interesting aspect about this summary is the flat-out confirmation of another Spider-Man character within this universe of Starling, who, if you don't know, is actually the granddaughter of Adrian Toomes himself, aka of course being the Vulture. And just to provide you a brief summary about the Starling character from the comics, her full name is actually Tiana Toomes. The girl who would become the vigilante known as Starling was born to Lenora and Frankie Toomes. However, her father later left them, whereas Tiana's grandfather, the Vulture, started to take care of the family by giving them stolen money, hoping to make amends for the actions of his son. Tiana and her mother were often visited by Adrian Toombs himself, who wanted to spend time with his granddaughter and convinced Lenora to accept the money. Sadly, after her mother died due to a surgical error, Adrian offered Tiana his guardianship, and as she grew older, Adrian eventually gave her a suit based on his own Vulture design, and encouraged her to pursue her dream. So even though Starling herself does initially start off her career as a villain, she does eventually become an ally of Miles Morales' Spider-Man. And whether or not we'll actually receive that development from Tiana's character in the book itself from bad to good is still unknown as of right now. However, the authors of all these prequel novels always seem to do a great job of further expanding the Insomniac universe within these books, because previously in Hostile Takeover we did receive a great characterization of one of the core characters of that novel of Maya Lopez, aka Echo. And seeing how the same exact situation is most likely going to occur for Miles' book, I for one can't wait to dive into this story before the game launches. But moving on from the prequel novel itself is something that is a whole lot more self-explanatory. And as the article goes on to say, meanwhile, Titan will release the art of the game in February of 2021. Written by Matt Ralphs, the book will trace the creative process of a hardcover book that includes concept art, in-game renders, and insight from the artists and developers at Insomniac, Marvel, and PlayStation. This 192-page art book will cost $39.95 USD. Now, what's very exciting and interesting about this is that this particular costume is not the same as what we saw with Into the Spider-Verse, but instead, it seems like this is going to be Insomniac's own unique design on that similar type of fashion sense that Miles had in the film. So seeing that this suit will most likely be incorporated within the game one way or another, given the fact that the official concept art of it is shown clear as day within the art book, I for one cannot wait to see what this suit is going to actually look like in action, especially when swinging around in the snow. And knowing that the other suit designs are going to be featured within this art book as well, I just can't wait to see the full-on artistry displayed from Insomniac's talented creators within the art book in full once it does come out in February of next year. And as a rather small but still incredibly surprising bonus, everybody, is that Insomniac decided to showcase our first look at Miles Morales' photo mode a few hours after this Titan Books news was announced. And man, if you thought that taking photos in Spider-Man PS4 couldn't look any prettier, I think it's safe to say that Miles Morales has it beat. Where in a simple tweet where Insomniac posted Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, they showcased a brand new screenshot of Miles Morales in photo mode. And let me just say that the details that are going to be featured within this game are absolutely immaculate. From the overall aesthetic of the snowy version of New York, as well as the incredible textures in Miles' suit, taking photos within this game is surely going to be a blast. And considering all the extra features that Insomniac included within the first game's photo mode of emojis and stickers, I think we can expect the same thing to occur within Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. But nonetheless, this is just a great tease to showcase what's to come within the future of this game. And knowing that we're a little over 1 month away until the game launches worldwide is just an absolutely crazy feeling to have. But with all that said, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think about all this news with the recently revealed Titan books for the prequel novel and art book of Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, and which one are you more excited to dive into? Again, I thoroughly enjoyed the prequel novel of Spider-Man PS4 with Hostile Takeover. And even though a character like Starling will be featured in Miles Morales Wings of Fury, we don't know for sure whether or not the character herself will appear within the game's universe once we play it for ourselves on November 12th. But still, anything relating to Insomniac's Spider-Man universe is more than enough for me. And until the next news update, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy. And without further ado, peace out.
I feel like Miles is very important because representation does matter, and it's not just about him being a black superhero, it's about him being a superhero that happens to be black.